This Day in Sports History. This episode is brought to you by the Stirling Soap Company. I'm a big fan of shave soap. I've been using different brands for years, and I recently gave Stirling's shave soaps a try, and I've been very happy with the results. Stirling's shave soaps give you a great lather and a frictionless feel that allows the razor to glide right over the skin for a super close shave. No skin irritation and a clean, refreshing feel with no soapy residue after. I can tell you without a doubt, it's simply the best shave I've ever had. And my wife has noticed too. And here's the thing. With the ability to purchase 1-ounce sample pucks, you can try out different scents to find the right one for you. Give Stirling Soap a try today. Visit stirlingsoap.com. That's STIRLING soap.com. Well, hey there, and welcome to another edition of This Day in Sports History, an independently produced podcast, but a member of the Sports History Network family. You can find more sports history podcasts at sportshistorynetwork.com. It's October 27th, and on this day up and down the sports timeline, we had what Michigan fans call the greatest play in Michigan history, a dramatic finish in the worst-to-first World Series, and one of baseball's longest curses was finally broken. All that plus a few more stories and a non-sports fun fact about a president and his pet parrot. No doubt about it. This will be the most interesting 15 minutes of your day, so stick around. Let's kick off this episode with what happened on this day back in 1979, when Michigan's Anthony Carter made a game-winning grab on the final play of the game. Michigan head coach Bo Schembechler was not a big fan of playing freshmen, but he recognized superior talent when he saw it. He also was not a huge fan of throwing the football. He was a run first, run second, and a run third coach, which made it a bit difficult to lure wide receiver talent to Ann Arbor. But he did manage to entice Anthony Carter to play for him, and seeing the kid's skills and speed, he knew he needed to loosen some things up a bit and let this freshman play. Here in the 79 season, Michigan was 6-1 and playing a 4-3 Indiana team coached by Lee Corso. The Hoosiers led 14-7 at the half. Michigan put 14 on the board in the third quarter to take a 7-point lead to the fourth. With 55 seconds left, Indiana tied it up again after a 79-yard scoring drive. Now, at this point in college football, overtime was not a thing. So if you're a Michigan fan, a tie against Ohio State was digestible, but a tie against Indiana, well, that would have felt like a loss. The 10th-ranked Wolverines could not afford a tie and remain in the hunt for a Rose Bowl bid. With 51 seconds on the clock, Michigan started from its own 22. The Wolverines were able to move the ball to the Indiana 45 with 6 seconds left. One play remained, and there was only one guy to get it to. Here's legendary Michigan coach Bo Schembechler talking about what happened next.
By this time, when you know you only have one play left, they obviously played a cold zone defense and sat back there. The ball had to be completed underneath. Now, if you were going to complete the ball underneath the 3 deep coverage, who on your football team would you want to have the ball? Why, without question, Anthony Carter.
Here's another Michigan legend, longtime voice of the Michigan Wolverines, Bob Ufer, and his famous horn, with the call of what happened next.
Under center is Wangler at the 45. He goes back. He's looking for a receiver. He throws downfield to Carter. Carter hands up. Look at those Wolverines. 95 Wolverines going in the end zone. Carter got the pass.
The 45-yard Wangler to Carter touchdown pass to give Michigan the 27-21 win is still known as the greatest play in Michigan football history. Ufer certainly thought so. Also, the horn that you heard being honked during that play was actually being honked by Ufer, and it was the horn from one of General Patton's Jeeps that he was escorted around in World War II. Sadly, Ufer would die 2 years later after a long battle with cancer at the age of 61. Now, for Anthony Carter, it was not only the play that introduced him to the world, really, as one of the greatest college football players during the 70s, but it was also the play that he remembered the most once he hung up the cleats after 4 years at Michigan and 11 years in the NFL.
It has to be the most exciting one throughout my career, whether it's Little League, high school, junior high, in the professional ranks. It definitely ranks number one.
On this day in 2007, it was an interesting one in Jacksonville, Florida. They call it the world's largest cocktail party, the Georgia Bulldogs and the Florida Gators in Jacksonville. Now, it is a huge rivalry game, but Florida at this point was dominating the recent history, winning 15 of the previous 17 games. Georgia coach Mark Richt was tired of it, and he had a surprise up his sleeve in this one. After forcing a turnover on Florida's opening drive, Georgia drove down the field to set up this scoring play. And here's Vern Lundquist and Gary Danielson with the call for CBS that day.
Marino up over the top. Did he break the play? Yes. Georgia, touchdown. And here comes the entire team. Watch this for excessive celebration. We may have 15 hankies in the air on this one. I can't believe this.
This was planned. This was absolutely planned. Mark Richt decided that he is going to try to fire his team up. He's tired of Florida having the psychological advantage. He's willing to give up the penalty.
And as Danielson pointed out, it was definitely a planned move by Richt to set the tone in what he knew would be a hard-fought contest. Georgia was penalized twice for the celebration for a total of 30 yards, but it was worth it. Noshan Moreno would roll up 223 yards on the ground and score 3 touchdowns on the day as the Dogs beat Florida 42-30. On that same day in Knoxville, Tennessee, it was let's call it a Charles Dickens novel, as in a tale of two halves in an SEC battle between Tennessee and South Carolina. Before diving into the game, though, you should know how crazy things were coming into this one. First, the Gamecocks had started the season under Steve Spurrier 6-1, with a loss to number 2 LSU as the only blemish. The Cocks stubbed their toe the week prior to this game, though, when the then number 6 Gamecocks lost at home to an unranked Vanderbilt team on homecoming. The Volunteers season had been a bit of a roller coaster ride, starting the season 1-2 with losses to number 12 Cal and number 3 Florida, then won 3 straight and got to number 20 in the AP poll before losing again the week prior to this one to an unranked Alabama team. It was a logjam at the top of the SEC East, with Tennessee, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, and Kentucky all tied for the lead. Against the Gamecocks on this day, Tennessee built a 21-0 advantage in the first half after forcing a couple of turnovers and turning those into touchdowns. But the Vols could not find the GPS coordinates to the end zone after that. On the other side, South Carolina finally got their offense going in the second half, scoring touchdowns on 3 of their first 4 possessions to tie the game. After 2 more turnovers that squelched drives, the Gamecocks got the go-ahead 49-yard field goal from Ryan Suckup to give them their first lead of the day. The Volunteers were able to put the jumper cables on their offense long enough to set up the tying field goal with 5 seconds left in regulation and send it to overtime. The Vols got the ball first in OT, but they still could not find the end zone, and they settled for another field goal. But as it turned out, that's all they needed. Suckup missed a 41-yarder to give Tennessee a wild, if a bit undeserved, 27-24 win. The win was the first of 5 straight for the Vols, who ended up winning the SEC East, and for South Carolina, it was part of a 5-game losing streak that wrecked their season. Looking for that perfect gift for the basketball fan in your life? Basketball Now is it. Newly updated for 2025, it spotlights 50 of the NBA's top stars. Think fast breaks, clutch threes, and buzzer beaters, captured in stunning photography with sharp, readable analysis. From rising stars to veteran icons, this book is a courtside pass to the game right now. Wrap up a slam dunk this holiday season. Pick up your copy of Basketball Now today at your favorite bookseller. On this day in 1991, it was the dramatic conclusion to the worst-to-first World Series. The Minnesota Twins and the Atlanta Braves had both finished dead last in their divisions the year before, but both teams made a dramatic turnaround in a year and not only topped their respective divisions but won their league's pennants to reach the World Series. This was Game 7, and since 2 of the games had already gone to extra innings, it only made sense that the decisive game would as well. But it really should not have gone to extra innings. In a scoreless game, the Braves' Lonnie Smith led off the top of the 8th with a single, bringing Terry Pendleton to the plate.
Pendleton into left center field. That ball is down, and a bad, well, it's off the wall. Lonnie Smith is held up at third, and he didn't do very good base running. That was terrible by Lonnie.
He didn't pick the ball up. He stopped when he rounded second base.
Smith fell for the old banana in the tailpipe trick, or rather, he saw second baseman Chuck Knobloch feign like he had the ball and was tossing it to second. If he had known that the ball was a one-hopper off the fence in left center, he would have scored easily. Instead, he got stranded at third after Sid Bream grounded into a double play, and the Atlanta threat had been neutralized. The game remained scoreless into the 10th, with Twins starter Jack Morris still on the mound and still throwing smoke.
He gets his 8th strikeout.
Morris pitched 10 complete with those 8 Ks. He gave up 7 hits and walked 2. Not exactly a Renaissance masterpiece, but maybe a piece from Picasso's Blue Period, subtly working shades and textures, sharing the hardship of life with those who put eyes on his work. Dan Gladden led off the bottom of the 10th with the shortest hit double in Major League history. Now, that's not meant to take anything away from Gladden. He turned what 98% of Major League hitters would have deemed a single into a double. Chuck Knobloch sacrificed him to third, and with 1 out, the Twins had the winning run 90 feet away. Bobby Cox elected to intentionally walk the next 2 Twins to load the bases and get a force at any base, with the hopes of inducing pinch hitter Gene Larkin into an inning-ending double play.
Base hit loaded, 1 out. Infielders are sort of halfway at second and short. Pena in a jam. The Twins are going to win the World Series. The Twins have won it. It's a base hit. It's a 1-0 10-inning victory.
Larkin's base hit was deep enough that even if the Braves' outfield had been playing normal depth, would have been able to score Gladden from third. It was the 3rd World Championship for the franchise, the 2nd in Minnesota, and it was the last time that the Twins played in the World Series. On this day in 2004, the Boston Red Sox finally broke the curse. Now, depending on how you view things, there are some omens on this day for Red Sox fans. This was Game 4 of their World Series matchup with the St. Louis Cardinals. Now, granted, Boston held a 3-0 lead and just needed one more to win their first World Series since 1918. But there was a lunar eclipse in the sky on this night. Now, to the ancients, a lunar eclipse is a portent of doom for rulers. After the Red Sox had flipped an 0-3 series deficit against the New York Yankees in the ALCS to get to the World Series, could this be a sign that they were about to go down? And surely, somebody pointed to the calendar that day and remembered that this was the 18th anniversary of the Red Sox losing in Game 7 of their World Series against the New York Mets, a series they should have won if not for the pitching of Calvin Schiraldi, Bob Stanley, and the bad knees, ankles, and Achilles tendon of Bill Buckner. And of course, there was the curse of the Bambino still in effect. As Dan Shaughnessy wrote in his book about the curse, the selling of Ruth was the sin that could not be atoned for. But the Boston Red Sox themselves did not look at the tea leaves or seek the advice of the local medium or attempt to exorcise the curse by any supernatural means. They just got to work. Johnny Damon led off the game with a solo shot to give Boston a lead they would never relinquish. In the 3rd, after a Manny Ramirez single and a David Ortiz double, Trot Nixon hit another double to score 2 more, and that was all the Sox needed to overcome 86 years of heartache and misery. The Red Sox won 8 straight games in the postseason to turn what looked like another story to be added to the curse into an unbelievable turnaround. Boston never trailed the entire series, and after the game, Manny Ramirez said, "I don't believe in curses. I believe you make your own destination." Well, he meant destiny, but we all understood what he meant. And with the Patriots winning the Super Bowl in February, Boston became the first city since Pittsburgh in 1979 to own both the Lombardi Trophy and the MLB's Commissioner's Trophy. And time now for today's That's Got Nothing to Do with Sports fun fact. President Andrew Jackson had a pet parrot that learned several curse words by simply listening to his owner. After Jackson died, the parrot attended his funeral, but had to be removed after it went on an expletive-laden outburst during the service. That's all I've got for you today. Check back in tomorrow for another edition of This Day in Sports History. This has been an original Thrive Suite production.